Okay, homework 5, and I will try to explain a little bit about the project. So this is Campus Taskboard project is basically a Spring Boot application that allows users to interact with the data through HTTP requests. So it demonstrates how the whole structure works for a web server. So it allows users to create, view, update, delete tasks through HTTP requests. So that's basically the description of it. And we got a bunch of files here. Start with the campus taskboard application.java. So this file is responsible to start the application. So everything starts from here. When this file runs, Spring starts an embedded server, loads applications, scans for components, figures out configuration and all the necessary setup to our project work properly. So the next file is a task, which is the model of our application. So everything revolves around this class. So we got a library, Lombok library annotations. The first one, data, is responsible to set up all the getters and setter methods, string to string method, hash code, and equals method. So without it actually helps us to reduce boilerplate codes. Without this one, we'll be writing hundreds lines of code like for all the data fields. And the second annotation is responsible to create a constructor with no argument, and the third one is responsible to create a constructor with all the arguments. So our task class has features like ID, title, description, status. This is our constructor to initialize the data fields. So, and the next layer of our application is a controller. So this basically a bridge between the service layer and the HTTP request. So this class, the REST controller annotation, lets the Spring know that this is a controller class that handles requests and yeah, this is a class that is responsible to handle a request and sending responses back. So we got the second request mapping annotation, which is the base for URL. So every request starts with this pattern. So and okay, this is our get mapping. So this annotation actually returns the data. This annotation handles get requests. So get request is actually does not do anything to the data. It just returns the data. So what we're doing here is actually we're invoking get all tasks that is defined in the task service right here. So we're invoking this class and we're sending this back. We're sending this back with an appropriate status code. So and we have the next annotation get mapping and get task by ID, which returns a task by ID with appropriate status with an appropriate status. So about the annotation, about this one, path variable, it is responsible to extract a data from the URL request from the request. So yeah, so it extracts a data from the URL request. Post mapping actually handles a post request, which is responsible to create something So we have here two annotations. Request body is responsible to convert adjacent data sent by the user and convert it into a Java object, and this annotation valid actually makes sure that this object satisfies all the condition in the task class. Okay, so the next annotation in our method would be put mapping, which is responsible to handle put requests. In this case, we're updating a task. So like I've already talked about the path variable, which extracts a data from the URL while it checks the condition. Request body converts the JSON data into Java object. So this optional task is actually will return, the return type is actually optional, right? So I didn't understand it first. From what I understood, it may contain a task, but it may not contain a task. So in that case, so it does not return null when the task is not found, for example, right? So it either returns an empty list, an empty task, or a task if it's found, right? Okay. So this is delete annotation with a ID that handles delete requests. So what we're doing is like we're extracting an ID from the URL, and we're invoking delete task here, and if it's found, then we're just returning it. If it's not, we're just deleting it and sending a appropriate status code. So this is our exception handling block, which is responsible. So if a user sends invalid input, our program does not stop, though this block is actually responsible for that. Okay, and the last layer would be the task service class, which is the business logic, right? So this is all the methods are implemented from here. So this service annotation actually knows this spring that this class is a business logic class, so it does not take a request. It does not receive HTTP request directly. That's pretty much it, I think. Yeah,